Hello. Good. My dogs are barking in the background. Sorry.
It's all good.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to today's Anti-Fascist Book Club. I'm Nick Perro. This is Banner and Backbone, and I am joined by my good friend and colleague, Tara Devlin of Tara Buster and the Political Voices Network. How's it going, Tara?
It's going all right. I'm looking at I don't know what's going on with my YouTube channel. It's not connecting, but yeah, it's sorry about that. This is the liberal media. We have dogs in the background. We have cats in the background. We have connection issues.
I'm going to check real quick what my dogs are barking at, and I'll be
Okay.
right back as you introduce
All
yourself
right.
and say hi to everyone. Just give me one moment.
No problem. No problem. Hey guys, my name is Tara Devlin. We meet here every Friday for the Anti-Fascist Book Club. We had a couple of weeks off, but we've begun with a new book, To Catch a Fascist. And I haven't read the entire thing myself. Let me see. To Catch. I should be more prepared, but I didn't expect Nick to run off like that. Yeah.
Hey,
Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
We're welcoming to Anti-Fascist Book Club To Catch a Fascist by Christopher Mathias.
Yes.
Recommendation from Chris Goldsmith. And Chris just had an interview with Chris Mathias, I think posted this week or last week. Really good listen. And I have to go back and re-listen to it. But yeah, welcome to the Anti-Fascist Book Club, y'all. This is Banner and Backbone's public effort to follow the Veterans Fighting Fascism Anti-Fascist Book Club guide that Chris Goldsmith put together. This is a virtual version to help encourage you to start your own anti-fascist book clubs at home or at your local library or wherever you can create a book club. And so this is just our way. It's a way for us to connect together, to help teach and provide tools, give learning. We also highly encourage feedback and chat in our chat. Our Substack chat is always very lively. And so if any of you have any questions as we go through about the book, about what we're talking about, Tara and I are going to have a great discussion today. I also have not finished reading the book, but it is very interesting so far. I got through the first couple chapters. It's been a busy week as always, so I haven't been able to read as much as I wanted to. But this is going to be a really good discussion. So what the Anti-Fascist Book Club is it's a place for learning and teaching. We are teaching you what fascism is, what fascism isn't, what it means to be anti-fascist, and what it means to practice that and live that on a daily basis, because silence is complicity and the only path forward is through meaningful action.
That's right.
So Tara, before we get into the book, anything else you wanted to say to introduce your thoughts on the book club?
Well, I think it's just a great place to have conversations, to build community. And for me, I get motivated to continue in this fight. It's not easy, as we know, and it's only going to get a little bit, I believe, not a little bit, maybe even harder than we could ever imagine. But we have a duty. I practice Buddhism myself. I practice with the SGI, Soka Gakkai International. It's a lay Buddhist organization. We don't have any monks or priests or anything, but no one standing in the way of your enlightenment, so to speak. So, but in my practice, we have, I get reminded all the time that we're here on purpose, right? I picked my life, whether you believe it or not. I don't know. We'll see. I'll let you know when I'm dead. But I'm always up to skepticism. But we when the times meet the person, we have a duty to stand up. Because when I was a kid, I was I'm still an armchair historian. My father was a big World War II buff, and he got me into history, and we shared a lot of that. We bonded over watching documentaries on the Nazis, right? And I always felt that I had a safe distance from that. That's what's so concerning now, because now it feels like, my education feels a bit more, pertinent to this time that we're in.
Hmm.
And I feel a lot of anxiety about it, truthfully. I've been warning about it for years, that, and I've said, in every Republican chest beats the heart of fascism. We see it when
Yep.
years ago, when they were talking about the unitary executive, that, Trump didn't get here overnight. This has been a long project of whittling away at the pillars of democracy, including the attacks on the media, consolidating the media. So that's why we have the silos of information. We don't
Yeah.
have one place where people go now to get the news. There's no Walter Cronkite telling people that the Vietnam War is lost and everyone believing it and everyone trusting it, let's say.
I think
Now,
that's the
yeah.
key word is trust.
Mhm.
And there's no
That's
trust
right.
anymore.
Well, that's it. And that's a fascist project. Because I was just okay. I just did a video. I don't know if you've seen the what's his friggin' name, Peter Thiel,
Yeah, I know a
billionaires.
lot about that asshole.
Yeah, he's a Nazi. He was raised by Nazis. He's a Nazi. He's trying to make fascism palatable, and for whatever reason, many people give him a platform. They don't connect the dots between him and JD Vance. He is JD Vance's basically sugar daddy. His entire life has been paid for. JD Vance's
Hmm.
entire life was paid for by Peter Thiel. He says JD Vance says that meeting Peter Thiel was one of the most pivotal moments in his life. More, I guess, more than meeting his wife, more than the birth of his children. That's his pivotal moment. And the fact that the corporate media doesn't connect the dots, that JD Vance, who's a relative newcomer in politics, who was propelled into politics by Peter Thiel and funded, and that they don't connect the dots, that the vice president of the United States gets his entire life funded, his entire political career funded by a billionaire who hates democracy and has a curious habit of quoting Carl Schmitt, who is a Nazi intellectual, right? A contempt, not just somebody that the Nazis liked or would point to. He was a Nazi, Carl Schmitt, and gave intellectual cover to the fascist destruction of the Weimar Republic. It's the same language that they're using. He just sits there, just the other day on stage once again, pontificating about Carl Schmitt, and no,
Hmm.
and in front of a youth, an audience of youth, and they're asking him questions like he's some great intellectual. They're not. These are very underwhelming people, clearly, because racism and low IQ go hand in hand. It's not just me. It's not just a pejorative or me saying it. That we have
Yeah.
studies that can point to it too. So the fact that he adopts this ideology, and he's talking about how, oh well, we really need to think outside the Overton window when it comes to democracy, because clearly democracy has failed, liberalism has failed. Like, what does that mean? And then he goes on to quote Carl Schmitt, this Nazi, and nobody says anything. What the fuck is wrong with you, buddy? That's, you're quoting Nazis, you're attacking democracy. What's it? And we're talking about a system that made him rich. This is the system
Hmm.
that he got rich in, right? That he wants to destroy. And the fact is that he doesn't like democracy because it still has the power, however limited, to sometimes hold people like him accountable or say no to people like him. And we have a lot of work to do. And one of the things is to take these people off their pedestal. Who is Peter Thiel to dictate anything to us? But that's what they want. This project that they're engaged in, the Project 2025, the fascist coup, that's where under that where that's we're now confronting. That's it won't. It will look. It will have its own unique characteristics. It won't look 100% like the rise of the Third Reich, or even the fall of the Roman Republic. It will have its own characteristics, and in this current iteration, these billionaires, they want certain like the tech bros to be our overlords
Hmm.
ultimately. And I mean, the system is set up for this because of money in politics, because of the propagandized media. And, not to go down this whole road here, but it's all, to me, it's all connected. And,
Yeah.
anyway, we could bring up the book and discuss the first couple of
Yeah, let's
chapters.
go into the first couple chapters on our book because, I mean, Peter Thiel does fit into all of this.
Yeah,
It's the normalization of white nationalism and the spread of it in very blatant ways compared to even
right.
just a few years ago, where everyone was masked all the time and they were just coming out in street gangs and
Yep.
thug groups that we call militias,
Mm-hmm.
um, such as the Patriot Front. And so let's
Yep.
get into Catch a Fascist because this book itself has a lot of really good information. We're probably going to only go over the first one or two chapters. That's I've gotten through the first two chapters, so I don't want to skip too far ahead from what I know either. Is let's get into this story and what it's about. Because so let's reading just a little bit of like the book cover, like
Mm-hmm.
just from the inside cover, so you all get a little bit of information about what this book is about. Um, and so here's what is said as just a quick synopsis for the book itself. America is in trouble. The anti fascists are here to help. There's an underground war raging across America that many never see. On one side, there are those building, like the Ku Klux Klan before them, an invisible empire that would overthrow democracy, concealing their identities not with white hoods, but with usernames and avatars. They work at your local police department, teach at your local school, preach from behind the church pulpit, and cast votes at City Hall. On the other side are everyday Americans determined to drag this new invisible empire from its quote, hidden realm. Americans who have lost faith in the institutions meant to protect them, compelled to step outside the confines of the law, committing acts of violence, sabotage, and espionage to destroy an enemy they believe will ultimately destroy us all. Demonized in recent years as extremists by conservatives and liberals alike, Antifa became a go to boogeyman for the Trump administration, a folk devil manufactured to consolidate support among his MAGA faithful. But most Americans don't understand what Antifa really is, nor have they listened when Antifa sounded the alarm about these white supremacists taking positions of power. Now, these underground militant anti fascists are determined to stop the rising tide of fascism in America by any means necessary. To Catch a Fascist follows different factions of anti fascists as they work against the clock to expose white supremacists before they can make their violent fantasies a reality. With searing detail and exclusive reporting, seasoned journalist Christopher Matthias paints a vivid picture of the stakes of this often Un well, what happened to my monitor?
What happened? We could still see you. You're
Oh, my
there.
monitor just went dark though. That's weird.
Oh no. Oh,
That's
weird.
okay. As long as you can
But
see
we can
me.
see you. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
still
as long as you
there.
can see me, that's good. I don't know what
But
happened
your
though.
camera must still be working, but your monitor
Yeah,
maybe
my monitor went all weird. It just went black on me.
it might be.
Uh
That's not good.
anyway, we'll see what happens.
Okay.
We
Oh
should be
boy.
all right. I
Oh, that
just may have to.
sucks. Then you won't be able to see the chat.
Oh, I've got the chats on a different window.
Oh,
I
okay.
have other monitors open.
That's good.
But my main screen that actually has the monitor where I can control the show
Oh no.
is
Oh,
down.
oh,
So I should be all right for most of the show. We just
okay.
won't be able to do our QR codes at the end
Ah, I
unless
see.
my monitor comes back.
Okay.
Um, that was so weird. Sorry, y'all. Tech issues on my side.
Yep, there you
Finish
go.
what I was reading though. So With searing detail and exclusive reporting, seasoned journalist Christopher Matthias paints a vivid picture of the stakes of this often unseen battle, highlighting the scrappy resourcefulness of Antifa against their increasingly emboldened adversaries. Utilizing razor sharp storytelling and eye opening insight, this timely book humanizes a group of widely misunderstood activists while revealing the dilemmas and dangers involved in fighting white supremacy. Both a call to action and a pulse raising look at the remarkable work being done to combat today's greatest threat to democracy. To Catch Fascist will inspire you to fight for your community. And from my reading so far, from the first couple chapters, is he is telling us a story in this first part. Chapters 1 and 2 so far are a story out of the Pacific Northwest in Washington State, around the Seattle area. And it's telling the story of, these are pseudonyms for all of them. That's what they called themselves, was John, David, Vincent, Charles, and Anthony. And only 4 of them are real white supremacists. One of them is a
infiltrator. Yeah.
Is a anti-fascist, Vincent. And it's talking about what Vincent went through to get into the organization, and some of the things that they were talking about. And I've never heard of this group. It's called Network 8, which is the Pacific Northwest chapter. It has a Pacific Northwest chapter and is part of, is on the Joint Terrorism Task Force watch list, as a bad group. And I never knew about them. I lived in Washington State for nearly 10 years, and I was there in the state when these things happened. I lived in Washington when a lot of these, as far as I remember, right around that time when these things were happening. And when they started defacing murals in Portland, Oregon, after George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery, all Black Americans, were murdered, they were the ones who went out and defaced that mural. Or they were doing the attacks and the damage to just BLM in general for the Black Lives Matter movement. And it's really interesting how insidious they are, and some of these basic tropes that they live by.
Right.
And so I want to get your thoughts.
Well, yeah. Network 8. Why can't I talk? The reason we probably haven't heard of it or whatnot is because whenever the Patriot Front is reported on, as limited as that might be, they just call them Patriot Front, because Network 8 is just the group that exists in the Pacific Northwest. And the Patriot Front it divides the United States into networks. So I guess all different numbers. So the John that we're talking about in the opening scene of the book is the director of Network 8. But he's ultimately in the Patriot Front. And the guy, Vincent, who he infiltrates this group he's a normal person infiltrating this group of, and one of the things, what struck me when I was reading this, because you mentioned them going out and defacing murals. This is and the other thing is we get a scene in them going out in their cars. There's just a couple of assholes. This is not a big group. The Patriot Front itself isn't a big group. They certainly have. They're very loud, just like all these fascist organizations. They're very loud. They're very whiny. They do get attention from when they show up, because they're that. I guess unusual. And it's sort of like when I was working with Mike Malloy, doing field producing Mike Malloy's radio show at the Supreme Court, when the Supreme Court was arguing Obamacare back in the day, back in the Barack Obama administration. And there were protesters on both sides outside the Supreme Court. There were the normal people. There were tons of normal people. I don't know the exact numbers, but there were certainly a lot more of the pro healthcare, pro getting making sure that Americans don't have to needlessly die without healthcare. Pro Obamacare. Um, p- you know, protesters there, and there were maybe like 10 tea baggers, when they were called tea baggers at the tea party assholes, right? And then I
Yeah.
was talking to these people, and all the cameras were at the tea party people because they were the ones that were the most ridiculous. And I remember, you might have seen the picture of the lady with her hand, big giant Mickey Mouse hand that said government hands off my Medicare. That's a real picture. People say, oh, that's a fake picture. I met that lady. I talked to that lady. She was holding that sign. It was a big,
Yeah.
big Mickey Mouse hand. And so, anyway, it just goes to show you that the media, it doesn't really go into it. It doesn't say that there were a handful of these people. It gives them, I think, far more power than they deserve, because the Patriot Front, um, that Vincent, in this book, infiltrates, they are, one of the things that they complain about is that they're stuck at a membership number of about 230 people, and they've been stuck at that level for, one of the guys says, well, we've been at this level for a year. And recently in 2024, ProPublica did an estimation of that they have about 300 members now. This is Patriot Front. And and that's one of the more notable groups. So they really do have an ideology, a minority ideology that, not that we should not take it seriously, because they certainly do have a lot more outsized power, right, in the halls of power. Because what I thought about when I was reading that about them going around defacing murals and whatnot was that this is what the Trump administration is doing now. They're defacing murals. They're taking murals down. They are passing laws all over the country not to show rainbow flags. They hate fucking rainbows, these people. This is what we're talking about. But like I'm trying to find it. In Texas, there's a law about not showing rainbows, and in DeSantis's Florida, there's that whole battle about they had a rainbow colored crosswalk, and that was painted over. I mean, all over the country, the Trump administration is defacing murals that honor minority groups, civil rights leaders, people who weren't born on third base thinking they hit a triple, things like that. So they're doing the work of the Patriot Front, and that's how it starts, with the
Yeah.
message, and the propaganda, and
Yeah. Sorry.
yeah, it's
I don't know
okay.
if anybody can hear me. Sorry, I'm moving
We
around a bit. I'm trying to figure out how to get my monitor
Oh,
turned back
did it
on.
come back? No,
It came back on for like a second and then died again. And
it
I don't
might
know
be
why.
your cable, right? I mean, you're a tech guy, so right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like it'll come back on and then it'll just go woo, like
It
dark.
might be dead then. It sounds
Well,
like it's
my
dead.
main monitor on my computer on my laptop, so it's weird. It may just need to be restarted. So just apologies on me making weird movements and going around and ducking under the
It's okay.
um,
We
under while we're
understand.
live. That's the fun of being live.
Yes,
We
exactly.
we don't actually know exactly what's going to happen during the show, and sometimes it's really great. Sometimes it's really weird.
I
Um,
hate that. And always some tech issues, right?
yeah,
Always we get tech.
but at least I've got my physical book, so I can easily like pull the chapters in places that we're talking about because I wanted to like talk about like the Patriot Front organization a little bit
Hmm.
and like as was pointed out by one of our friends in the chat, Chris, was Patriot Front is a rebranding, renaming. And that's something that Chris talks about. Christopher Matthias talks about in the book itself, was like where Patriot Front came from. And let me see if I can find the exact page I was reading about it. Is they rebranded from the organization that helps, or part of the group that helped spawn the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, North Carolina, where they had the tiki torches, and all the Nazis were dressed in their polo shirts and caps
Mm-hmm.
and looking all fucking corporate-y and fashy while they were doing it. Um,
Oh God, yes, I
it's,
know.
yeah, I'm trying to find where exactly it was in the book, because it was talking about like who they were beforehand, and why they rebranded their name, because it made them less obvious.
Yes. Oh, yes. That I remember, because he says that it was a way to appeal to fence sitters to call themselves the
Yes.
Patriot Front. It was less Nazi-like, less extremist sounding, and it would appeal to like just a regular old disgruntled white dude that had no purpose in life, and that's what they were reaching out to.
Yeah, yeah, and that's, to me, that's the insidious part that we don't most people don't like really talking about, is like they rebranded purposefully so that they could be less obnoxious sound,
Yes.
because Patriot Front sounds like a group
Yeah.
of veterans that
Right.
we
That's
we put
it too.
together.
Yep. Yep.
And thanks, Beth. Trump is unhinged live right now.
Oh
Good.
no. Oh.
I hope he stays
I
on.
hope he strokes out. Let us know if he strokes out,
Yeah,
and
let
if
us know
that
something if good news comes out of that, because
if
like,
it's that great getting up morning that turns into the great getting up afternoon, that we want to know. It's
yeah,
1:30 here,
yeah,
so yeah.
yeah. I'd love to, report on that news. That would be
Oh,
a
that
good
would be
news day.
great. We would
Um,
be so. I mean, the tear. It would be like the most amazing day that everyone we will all remember where we are, and it would
yeah,
be great that we all remember we're at the Anti-Fascist Book Club when that
that would
happens.
be a cool way to do this. Is like have anti-fascism um, be the way, like be the time where we get to say, "Hey, this news just happened. Guess what?
Right?
Fun, fun. We now have a new president, and he's
Oh, and
Peter
he's
Thiel's lackey, who, by the way,
yes,
Peter Thiel is in the
right.
Epstein files. After Epstein had been outed as a pedophile, is when they began making a relationship. I've had some reporting on Peter Thiel that I've been doing, so this is a rabbit hole
Oh,
I
okay,
would be
great.
happy to go down at some point.
Please.
Shane Urick and I do a lot on our show Palin Talk here on Banner and Backbone, also
Oh
about Peter
yeah.
Thiel. Is he was, from what we've found, is it almost looks like Teal was recruited into the Epstein network by Epstein for access to Russia, because a lot of what is like underlying all of this is the Epstein network is a Russian KGB mob network.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
it it is Russian mafia that is doing this. Like the Russians told us that they were going to do this too when the USSR fell, which I'm now kind of like believing the theory that the USSR never fell. It just rebranded itself so that we wouldn't be afraid of it as much. It let itself break apart in the end, so that we wouldn't believe that those like tendencies that they have for destroying everybody else, and trying to create an empire themselves, would be less obvious, because it allowed them then to start putting Russian mobsters in Israel, and it allowed them to put Russian mobsters in the US under the guise of refugees and like families fleeing. So I think that's, to be honest, I think like all of this is Russian back.
Oh
They told us
yeah.
40 years ago they were going to do this to us. And the
You're
insidious
right.
nature that like we see in some of the writings here around like the accelerationism. The idea of accelerationism is a Russian KGB idea. Like
Right.
these
Wow.
the whole baseline of what um, like Nick Fuentes and the accelerationist movement and this black pill and red pill movement is based on a Russian KGB idea. Like,
Mm,
we need to be really like clear on who is doing these things and what they're doing and how they're doing it. And it's the Ku Klux Klan evolved. They evolved into and out of the Russian mafia at this point.
right.
And there's a huge connection between them. And still trying to find where it said what the original name of the Patriot Front group was. Um, but like
Mm.
their ideas and their ideology coming, like starting to read this book, I've found is very, very, Vanguard America
Oh yeah.
was Patriot Front.
Oh God, it reminds me of that Cash Patel when Charlie Kirk was
Oh,
murdered.
Leon Valhalla.
Oh God.
Yes, and Israel is in this too. Israel was taken over by Russian mobsters. Israel is a Russian mob state right now. Like,
Well, yeah.
I'm
Well, the
Israel is not the Israel that I learned about when I was growing up. I'm a
well,
Jewish American. I learned
mm,
about Israel growing up. This is not the Israel I learned about. This is
well,
Russian mafia Israel. This is the Chabadist Israel that wants Zionism as like a authoritarian tool. They're doing it right now. They're genociding the people of Palestine so that they can make a new Gaza on
right.
the blood and ashes and bones of a dead people. And they
Wow.
want us to accept that. And
Yeah.
that's not all of Israel. That is the Chabadist movement, which is a Russian mafia movement that took over. Like, there is a
Hmm.
distinction, just like we make the distinction in America that we're not all fascists here just because our government is, and just because like these
Of course
Patriot
not.
Front groups that
Yeah.
all sorts of people have taken over. We aren't fascists. We can separate our government from ourselves. We can do it for Israel. We can do it for Russia too. I don't talk. I might. Oh, no, 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 no. Yes, it's not, definitely not saying that you were talking about it in an anti-Semitic way in any way. Um, but yes, the fascism in there is very. It's brought on from Russia,
Right.
um, which,
Well,
by the way, they got fascism from the Nazis and from us. We
mm,
exported fascism to the world. Like,
well, the Nazis looked at the race laws in
yes,
the United States. I mean, somebody. So let me just tell you what's going on. Something weird. I have, for whatever reason, I don't remember. I was saying I can't get the stream to connect.
yeah,
Suddenly, I have two stream. I don't know. I have two streams on my YouTube channel going. One of the streams has my normal Tara Buster community are there, like Jim. Thank you for being a moderator and all. And the other stream has, I don't know, somebody a fascist on there. If because he says what BLM and Antifa are exactly what you're talking about. So this is the bullshit. Propaganda from the right that we get. BLM and Antifa are the fascist are the fascists here. Like the fascists aren't the fascists. The fascists are the BLM and Antifa. And then somebody
yeah. The
asks,
gaslighting is dumb.
exactly. And how exactly is BLM and Antifa? I mean, they don't. First of all, Antifa is an idea. It's not an organized group, but okay, there. It
Yeah,
does it right.
we'll gloss over that stupidity.
You're right. At BLM, they don't fit any standard political science definition of fascism. In fact, they are left wing movements whose stated purpose is to oppose racism and fascism, not impose them. So, fascism is a far right, ultra nationalist, authoritarian ideology, and
Yes,
that often, well, that's what I said, ultra nationalist, and exalts race. Right, the poor white men are the victims in the fascist, and we were just talking about this before we went on air that professional victimitis is a fascist. I guess it's an infliction that they're all suffering with, where they get to be the perpetrators simultaneously while carrying the mantle of the victim.
yeah,
As really, and it's just like the Nazis they were the victims. That's why they had to commit genocide, because they were just acting in self-defense.
Hmm.
Really, that's what they said, and that's what they told themselves. But it's not fascism. I mean, fascism is, of course, it began in the 20th century. Well,
Yes.
it's in Italy, and so anyway, somebody
Yeah.
else asked if Thomas Paine's Common Sense is fascist, but I don't see how that could. I mean, Thomas Paine. First of all, it's hard to say that Common Sense was, because Common Sense was written in the 1700s, and a fascist movement that you can't ascribe it retroactively. But the other thing is, it's not fascist because it goes after hereditary. What do you call it? I can't say that word.
Hereditary.
Hereditary, hereditary monarchy,
Hmm.
and political inequality, and attacks empire and militarism. So you can't really say that it's a fascist tome in any sense. So anyway, I
Yeah.
think
Yeah. And that's the trying to flip it on its head every
right
time. But you are the whataboutisms. When someone starts using whataboutisms
there
all the
you
time,
go.
they've lost the argument, and they're just trying to portray their own faults onto you. So just ignore
That's it.
whataboutisms because they're stupid. Like, if you want to defend your
Yep.
point that you're not a fascist
Right.
while you are being a fascist, you should learn the
Right.
definition of fascism first.
Right.
Um, and it is all about power. It's all about dominance. That is what
Concentrated
fascism,
power. Yep. And
concentrated
ins in that,
fascism, or yeah.
who's in and who's out. And that's another thing
Hmm.
Peter Thiel talks about, which really pisses me off. He quotes Curtis, not Curtis Yarvin. That's another one.
He
He
does quote
does,
Curtis
yeah, he
Yarvin
does
quite a
quote
bit.
him. Yes, but Clive, uh, his fucking name just escaped me. I just said it. The Nazi guy, the Nazi that he keeps Carl Schmidt. He
Yes.
keeps quoting, and I guess he only read one thing of Carl Schmidt, and maybe he overheard it in an elevator once, and he repeats it: the friends and enemies. Because whenever anybody asks him about Carl Schmidt, he says, "Well, he had this friends and enemies thing," and that in itself is so insidious and so sinister, because basically they're saying we get to tell everyone who our friends are and who the enemies are, and when
Hmm.
whatever group that might be, those you could deal with that group in any way that you feel necessary to protect your so-called friends. So it's really disgusting, and that has no business in a modern multiracial liberal democracy. And it needs to be called out. But yeah, this is the kind of bullshit that is out there, and these poor disaffected white men are grabbing onto it because why?
Hmm.
They're the victims. They feel, yeah.
Because groups like Patriot Front decided that they were going to portray themselves somewhere in the middle, just enough to get disaffected,
That's
uninterested
right.
votes. And the book lays that out really well, as how they approached people like that, like using key buzzwords and making it so that you could feel welcome even if you weren't 100% of the way there to being a Nazi. They would just help get you there. um, they would just help get you onto that track. And I want to read one
Mm-hmm.
part from the book, because I this is where I was talking about the Russia connection. And Russia has a lot that it has done to undermine America. It told us 40 years ago, they told us that they were going to destroy America without ever needing to fire a shot.
Mm.
This is it. This is what they did. So let me read from the book, because this fits in really well, and then that goes into the connections of why are so many pedophile billionaires friends with Russia? Because Russia is giving them a lot of money, and they don't care about America. They just care about money. But anyway, here's a section from this is part of chapter 2, page 20. If you have your book on the hard copy side, I don't know what page they are for others. For
Mm-hmm.
the other side, if you have a paperback or something like that. But here's the paragraph. is before joining, Vincent would need to brush up on some basics and familiarize himself with the thinkers Patriot Front admired. He
Mm.
read about how Vanguard America, before it became Patriot Front, had emerged from an online message board called Iron March, founded by a prolific Russian neo Nazi blogger who went by the pen name Alexander Slavros. Slavros and his followers on Iron March advocated acts of terror in Western countries to hasten the collapse of society so that a whites only ethno state could be built in its place. Iron March influenced the manifesto an Australian man wrote before he carried out a live stream massacre of 51 Muslims at two mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand. This philosophy was called accelerationism. And although Patriot Front didn't explicitly subscribe to accelerationism, it certainly seemed like it might be a topic of polite debate, something Vincent might need to know. So Vincent's our main character
Mm.
so far. He is our main uh, insider who infiltrated and gathered knowledge around Patriot Front. Accelerationism is a movement that is going on right now that we would otherwise know as either black pill or red pill movements. It is part of the MAGA sphere and this right wing ecosystem sphere where the idea of accelerationism is the end is coming, so we may as well hasten it to get there, or major change is coming, so we may as well hasten the process to get there. That's fueling the events that caused Charlie Kirk's murder. That was the shooting at the ICE facility where in Texas, where the two detained individuals were shot, or the other murders that have happened. The one of the was it the Minnesota State Representative
Yes,
Hortman?
Melissa. Or
Yeah,
yeah. Hmm.
that is part of the accelerationist movement. Looks maxing, all of these like insidious, disgusting right wing movements that are forcing people towards these little like strictly named and highly regulated boxes that if you fall out of your outside, those are all accelerationist patterns
Hmm.
influenced by a Russian neo-Nazi.
Right.
If you think this Russian neo-Nazi did this all on his own without state support by Russia,
Oh yeah.
I have a boat to sell you called the Ark, and it's in the middle of the Arizona, some desert in Arizona. So I'll sell you an Ark if you want to believe
Yeah,
that the Russian government and state did not have a hand in this. And this is the type of thing that also influenced so many other places, like Israel. A lot of what's going on in Israel could also be ascribed to accelerationism. They wanted it, so they just decided it's going to happen, so we may as well make it happen now and faster.
hmm
And that's
hmm
what they believe. They're not quite MAGA. They're not. There is a very distinct separation between these groups. These are the Nick Fuentes folks, the Groypers, the folks that follow Nick Fuentes
Ugh.
are accelerationists. They're black pillars. They're red pillars. They believe that the end is coming, so they're going to get us there faster. Whatever that means, chaos. They want it to happen so that they can have the next step in their worldview. So, yeah, that's why climate change is not important to them because they don't care. Because the next step is getting off the planet. They don't care what happens while we're on the planet. Peter Thiel specifically, and the techno-fascists and the technocracy group that believe in a philosophy called TESCREAL, which is a pseudo religion out of Silicon Valley, they're not sadists. They're worse. They believe they're anti-humanists. They believe in this philosophy called
Right.
TESCREAL.
Mm.
It's TESCREAL, I believe. It's an acronym. And I'll put into the show notes from today the articles that the Opinionated Ogre has written on TESCREAL. It's really, really bad. They this is the philosophy around um, the fact that we are two-thirds overpopulated in the United States, that we need to have 100 million rather than 340 million people, which the only way to get there is through a genocide.
Mm.
because you can't deport that many people from a country and expect like people not to die everywhere. Is that would require a genocide of some sort, and they don't care because they want to get off the planet. Their goal, Tesreal's goal, transhumanist goal, these anti-humanists, these post-humanists believe that the next step is them uploading their consciousness into AI so that they can live forever, and they don't
Oh,
care about what happens to the rest of us as long as they get to live forever. It's also why you hear about things like Vladimir Putin doing organ transplants or blood transfusions. This is
right.
Peter Thiel is so into children because he believes that the blood of innocent virgin children will grant him longer life.
But yeah.
This is the type of
They're
bullshit
scum.
that
These are fucked
has
up people.
fed,
Hmm.
and this is the type of bullshit that has fed out of these groups like
Right.
Patriot Front, because nobody would have listened to accelerationism in this country had the white nationalists not adopted it as part of their philosophy. Like, they brought about these movements on purpose because it creates chaos and it creates destruction and it allows them to flourish. Whereas on the other side, we have demonized the idea of, and this is, I want to get your thoughts on this, Tara,
Hmm.
the idea of anarchists and
Mm.
how Christopher's view is probably very different than what a lot of us were taught anarchy is about and like the philosophy of anarchy, because most true, like hardcore anti fascists would be considered anarchists, but not in the way I think that we think about
Yeah.
anarchy. And so I want to get your thoughts on that, on like the tamed anarchy that they're talking about, where it's really more parallel system development and like moving from rugged individualism to a socialized democracy. Uh,
Hmm.
and
Well,
what
who's talking about anarchy? Let's.
Vincent was talking a little bit about anarchy in the book and like his ideas of like he is an anarchist, but that means something different to him than what we ascribe anarchy
Mm.
to. And I'm trying to find the quote from it.
Yeah,
I
I
think it's
mean, when people start
first.
talking about anarchy, it's like I get the same glazed over
Oh, here it is.
look, like
Okay.
when people talk about libertarianism, and they fall into the same category for me. Hold on,
Yeah,
but go
so let
ahead.
me let me read just a little passage from the book then around it. Was after college, he started meeting students who identified as socialists, communists, and anarchists. Quote, it allowed me to just expand my beliefs, end quote. He says, remembering being drawn initially to European style democratic socialism because it seemed to, quote, actively provide for people, end quote. And then over time, he says his politics became, quote, less and less authoritarian, end quote, until he was an anarchist. The word anarchy is derived from the Greek anarchos, meaning without authority. Agency, an anarchist media collective that seeks to demystify anarchism for the wider public, once described anarchism as a quote, struggle against top down systems and institutions such as states, capitalism, and racial and gender domination, end quote. It strives for a radical direct democracy, for a classless, stateless society without hierarchy. Derided by some of the left as too idealistic in everyday practice, anarchism often means providing mutual aid, like giving people food, supporting people incarcerated in prisons and immigration detention centers, or doing harm reduction for people with addiction. It's about not, quote, relying on the structures, end quote, that may be insufficient, oppressive, or authoritarian, Vincent says, but instead creating a, quote, second layer of replacement structures, end quote, to show solidarity with your neighbors. And I think that's a really interesting look at anarchy that most of us probably don't ever see or think about. Um,
Mm.
like, most of us think of anarchy and we think lawless societies, no institutions whatsoever, no systems, just individualism. Like, people see anarchy and they hear individualism.
Hmm.
But what this just said was anarchy is just the destruction of the patriarchal systems and the hierarchical systems so that we are more of a flat society where we all live
Yeah.
equally. But then we have equitable solutions that are layered on top of that to ensure that everyone has equitable access to the tools and systems and not just rich people with money.
Sure. I mean, it sounds. I I have.
Very idealistic.
Yeah. I mean, it just sounds what it is. It sounds like their anarchy. For me, I have a different view of it because
Mhm.
and it's certainly not that, because that sounds like democratic socialism to me. It sounds like
Yes.
a highly regulated corporate entities and a strong social safety net, and that's really what I believe we should have, because I and what I it sounds like is that saying that it's not the bad leaders, it's the institutions, it's themselves who are that need to be abolished and re categorized or
Re-
rebuilt.
Reevaluated. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like not that it's just anti-government, it's like a critique of all institutions and
Yeah.
in relation to dominating people, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know. And
Yeah.
I just have a different definition of it. So to
Oh,
me,
me
when
too.
you say
Yeah.
anarchy, I'm thinking, assholes in black outfits throwing shit and causing
Like
trouble.
Molotov cocktails and
Mm-hmm.
shit. What I think of anarchy is the accelerationist movement.
Mm-hmm.
Like to
Yeah, I mean,
me,
it's like the
the
same in a way.
accelerationist
Yeah.
movement is an anarchist movement, but a far right anarchy. Like they
Yes.
just want rugged individualism, but they want strict sets of rules for everybody except for them.
Oh, that's it.
Like,
That's it.
and
Yeah.
yeah, I don't. It's hard to think that like and I may be wrong, and I want to read, and as I go through reading there might be more in here about like what he means by anarchy and things like that. Is that just like you said, it doesn't fit my definition of what anarchy is. Like to me, anarchy is just lawless, is a
Yes.
stateless lawless system where you are ruggedly individual on your own. I
Mm-hmm.
think what he's explaining more, like you said, is collectivism, is democratic
Yeah.
or is socialized democracies or democratic socialism,
Right.
one of the three or all three, because they are slightly different. Democratic socialism is not social democracies.
Mm-hmm.
I am not an anarchist, and I will say that very bluntly. Not an anarchist. I believe in social democracy. I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe in democratic. I'm not a democratic socialist. I think that doesn't go far enough. I don't think that goes far enough because it's still too capitalistic in its mindset, and
Mm-hmm.
it's still too much about your value is based on your labor and what
Mm-hmm.
you bring to the table, whereas social democracies provide inherent value to people just because they exist. Like
Mm-hmm. I see.
that's where a social democracy is to me is a universal basic income
Yeah,
and
well, that sounds good.
a wealth cap
Right.
and
Definitely.
providing all of the social services, not because you can pay extra for them, not because you need to do anything extra, but because they're inherently there and you get them no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and we're at the point in the US, I think the type of democracy he's talking about in this book, the type of like much purer democracy that we should have is I believe in some of that. I don't know if my belief would be as far as his, but I believe there's a lot of structural reform we need in
Oh
our
yeah.
democracy. Everyone,
Well,
all of us are there now. Like it's broke and we
yeah.
need it fixed.
Right. But that's why, I mean, I guess, I don't really categorize myself so strictly. So when you
Mhm.
say, when I say I'm a democratic socialist or I believe in social democracy, what I believe in is like I said, capitalism, but highly regulated, and I would never call myself a capitalist at all. I think that people should be able to make businesses and innovate and all that, but there's we're in this together type of philosophy. They don't
Yeah.
do it alone. We do it together. People build businesses within the infrastructure of freedom and democracy that we all have a stake in, like, our roads, the water, the electricity, the internet,
Mhm.
so you don't do it alone. You're doing it in concert with everyone. And so and as a interdependent species, we have an obligation to each other to make sure that we don't leave anybody behind. And the you bugged me out there. You switched places. So
Oh, are we? As long as we're both still on the screen,
yes,
'cause I can't
yes.
see anything, so
Oh, okay.
because it's that weird. Still, I
Oh
can't control
no.
the main
Oh, that
screen,
sucks. That sucks.
which kind of sucks. But
Yeah.
I'll deal
But
with it. I'll figure it out by the end. And
yes,
to
you're very
like
good
at
at. Hmm.
the bottom here in our chat is free enterprise. No, I don't believe in free enterprise. I don't know if you're saying you believe in it. I don't believe in free
What do
enterprise.
you mean by?
Like I would want more on what is meant by free enterprise, because I believe in highly regulated enterprise,
Hmm.
where all of the protections, because that's what government is for, is to protect the citizenry, the
Yeah.
people. All the protections are aimed at protecting the people and not the
Yes,
corporations.
that's
Like,
right.
as a business owner, I own two businesses. I own Banner and Backbone, and I own Sick of the Shit Publications, two independent businesses. I would much rather the regulations require my business to do things to protect other people than
That's right.
regulations requiring me as a person to do something to limit my speech. Like,
Hmm.
there's a difference between limiting a business's speech rights and limiting an individual's speech rights.
Right.
Like, as an individual, I should still be able to say whatever I want, as long as it does not land at the bridge of somebody else's nose, because my rights end when they begin violating yours. But the
Hmm.
speech portion of it is, I should be able to speak how I want. My business should be regulated in a way that ensures speech is protected for individuals, but is also clear, isn't based in lies, isn't
Hmm.
founded on untruths. Like, I'm okay with regulating business and not having a fully free enterprise society, because regulations protect us and not businesses. Regulations are meant to make our lives better. They regulate the actions of corporations to prevent them from harming us,
Right.
such
Right.
as data regulations and data privacy. Those are for us. That's why, like, when we like talking about this book and the impacts these groups have, is these groups, these neo-Nazi groups, these accelerationist movement groups, use data privacy to their advantage. They use whatever limited data privacy there is to their advantage. They
Hmm.
take the regulations and twist them so that when it comes to other people's rights, they're less available.
Mm. Wow.
Where
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm just there's I just got distracted too because, like I said, I had two streams going, and one is like infiltrated with fascists. It's just crazy.
oh,
Thank you, Jim, for hopping over and taking care of them.
and so, follow up from our friend in the chat is, are we in favor of free enterprise versus rugged capitalism? I don't think either really work that well without regulated. I believe in regulated capitalism, highly
Right.
regulated capitalism. Like,
Hmm.
that's fine. Highly regulated capitalism allows for a social democracy or a democratic socialist system to work, because
Right.
then the businesses and corporations are required to pay their fair share and their correct share into the tax system and feed it back into the public good.
Hmm.
And it would allow for the idea of billionaires being taxed at a high
Right.
rate after a certain income, not
Right.
all of
Yeah.
their income,
Marginal.
but
The top marginal
anything.
tax rate.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, top marginal tax rates where you can have these things. Those can't be free enterprise or rugged capitalism. Those are, well, that has to be well regulated.
Right.
Uh, and I think what Vincent in our book is talking about, at least in my opinion, is really well regulated capitalism and not anarchy. But I could be wrong, because it just doesn't fit what my definition of anarchy would look like. Um, and so the big things about it, though, that I think we can all gather, because parallel systems right now are really important, and us building parallel systems for each other and for ourselves is really important. And I think the big thing we should pull out of what was said is it's not about relying on the structures that may be insufficient, oppressive, or authoritarian, authoritarian, but
Mm-hmm.
instead creating a second layer of replacement structures to show solidarity with your neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one piece right there, building the systems needed to show solidarity with your neighbors, is what we are all starting to do. Maybe it has taken some of us too long to begin to do it, but we are starting to, and we are doing it. And the more we do it, the faster it will happen. And eventually, those parallel systems can become the replacement systems for the broken institutions.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a short struggle that we're going to. We're not in a short struggle right now. This is a generational change. This is going to take the rest of our lives to fix. Many of us may
Right.
not see the fix. That's okay. But if it fixes it for our children and our grandchildren and their children, and maybe the end of our lives, I'd rather that happen. I'd rather we start those systems to make the changes that are needed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
Yeah.
we're right at the top of the hour.
Yeah.
I gotta take this call at some point.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. You
I'm
got
getting
it.
a call. I'll call him back here in a second. But this will be a weird ending, so hopefully uh, everyone okay has heard throughout. Is I've got some tech issues going on, so bear with
Yeah.
me. I'm going to figure out how to close this show out here. Um, so we won't be doing our normal QR codes where we can promote ourselves in that way, with the visibility on it. However, Tara, promote yourself anyway
Yes.
and tell
Okay.
people how they can find you and how they can support the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, just if you can, subscribe to the YouTube channel and also my Substack. Got to get those Substack numbers up to respectable levels. They're not bad, but we got work. And tonight I'll have Charles Derber on my show. He's an author. He wrote a book called Stopping Oligarchy, and so I think that'll be a good conversation. So that'll be 8:30 p.m. Eastern tonight on the Tara Buster YouTube and Political Voices Substack and all those places. So thank you
Thanks,
for
Tara.
hanging. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah,
guys. Thank
I'm
you, Nick.
glad you're. I'm looking forward to it. I love that you do an end of the week thing too. Is Friday nights, they seem like
Yeah.
a bad night, but everybody wants to listen in on good stuff. So go support Tara. She's awesome. I've gotten to know her through the book club and just in general over the past couple months.
Thank
She's
you.
really awesome. Go support her work. Go subscribe to her Substack. Help her um, get more views
Yeah.
ability here too, so that she can expand her audience and get the
That's
message.
it. That's
Because
it.
there's a million voices for a million issues, and Tara and I are just two of them. And so go support. It's free. It's free to subscribe.
Yes. Thank you.
Become a paid subscriber if you want to or can with her. That would be awesome too. That always helps.
That would be great.
And then come support me. Come support me over here at Banner and Backbone, where we host the Anti-Fascist Book Club, Palin Talk, the Window of Discussion. We're working on network calendar and tooling for everybody. I actually just met with someone in our audience, and I put a post out about it, about an AI tool that I'm going to start looking into using. That's a transparent, custom-built tool by someone in our audience um, who is um, who is just bringing out information in a clear and simple way. And this AI tool has three really interesting functionalities right now to it. And I'm talking with the creator to see how we can help integrate and work with that tool and use it for Banner and Backbone in our reporting and making sure we're providing clear, well sourced, really solid information that isn't biased by like ChatGPT or one of the main like billionaire backed AI systems. So I'm going to be testing out a system. It's called Clear Root AI. And I'll drop a link to it in the post show as well. So please make sure that like you take a look at it and take a look at the tool and play around with it. And if you find any bugs, that's that's then let us know. And before we go, there's something going on in the chat,
What happened?
and I want to make sure that um,
Uh-oh. This has been a weird chat day.
yeah, I want to look at the chat because there's something going on around everyone in our bubble agreeing, and Christian nationalists are taking over institutions while you and the people who agree with you agree with you. Meanwhile,
Okay.
they're taking over, and before you know it, you'll wake up in the Christian theocracy of
So
the USA. Okay, so just wondering what your
great.
point
Yeah,
is, friend,
exactly.
and why you are claiming somebody is living in a bubble, um, because
Tell us what you
somebody
disagree
else
with.
has
Yeah.
witnessed like how people are talking in limited communities and they aren't connected. Like I don't see anything wrong with moving towards communal living and communal uh, discussions. And I'm just gonna um, I'll look over that person's profile because I want to see what we're all about. But to our friend Zuples, you don't live in a bubble. I don't think. I don't know you, but it doesn't sound like you live in a bubble. Like we all understand that a Christian theocracy or theonomy is trying to take over the U.S. right now. Where, I mean, yes, we are in a bubble because we're on a podcast and we have folks who listen to us and come back repeatedly, show after show. Sure, I'll call that a bubble. But the right wing can get away with their massive bubble that they have, and nobody ever says anything about it. And nobody claims that they're in a bubble when they go to these Patriot Front or
Right.
explorationist or bullshit. So I'll happily live in my Substack bubble where people are talking and telling the truth and reporting on real information and
Right.
providing meaningful and important content to others in the community so that they can have this information. Yeah, it's then don't call it a bubble, dude. Just call it real life. Like, I'm not going to argue with you about the fact that living on a Substack society or even Twitch and YouTube that we are in. We're streaming on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. So
Hmm.
there ain't no fucking bubble here. I don't know if you've been on a bubble. No, I'm not being aggressive. I'm wondering why you were being rude to someone else in the chat for claiming that we're a bubble. I protect my space very well. Um,
Hmm.
and if you want to come in and
Yes,
try
exactly.
and disagree, that's fine. But if you're coming in
Right.
to say,
To
oh,
be a
you live in a
dick.
bubble, I live in a bubble, we all live in a bubble, we're just going to wake up in a Christian theocracy in the USA, that's not helpful, dude. Like, we're about action. We're we're about moving forward. The whole point of the Anti-Fascist Book Club is to give you information about things that have happened, how you can confront them, and how you can bring them into the real world so that you're not living in a bubble, so that you're actually going out and doing something for the people in the communities around you. I wouldn't call that a bubble, bro.
Hmm. Hmm.
And yes, you were rude. So thanks. Good luck. You're
Yeah.
not the bad guy. You're just asking stupid questions and being an asshole. But
Well, you could always say
gaslighting,
why you think.
gaslighting doesn't work here
Right.
because I've been gaslit since I was a child. I'm a millennial. I got blamed for the housing market crashing
I
when I
know.
was so gaslighting doesn't work here. Like, thanks. Oh, cool. Thanks. You're an idiot too, I guess.
Don't
You too
fuck them.
fucking bad, man. This is actually kind of fun. You want to keep this going, dude? Because I'm the one
Where are you seeing
broadcasting.
these people? Where I
Oh,
don't.
they're on the Substack chat,
Oh, okay.
and
No, because
never
it's like, if you
never
wanna
said
like
that.
but
Use
this
your
is what
words,
they
bro.
do. They don't bring it's like it's to come in and say, "I think this is a bubble because blah, blah, blah." That's one thing, and then we can, have a conversation. But they just, like, come in to start trouble and not bring anything or contribute anything. They just come in to spoil the experience for others and the conversation. So, fuck off, really.
No,
It's tedious.
I'm not calling you an asshole. I'm just calling you uninformed or just trying to start shit because you want
Right.
to
That's
and
it.
because you think it's fun. So,
That's all it is, and it's very sad. It's like the Patriot Front assholes having no meaning in life, so they act like dicks and treat people like shit. and go
Yes,
around getting off on ruining things for others.
but it's okay. Okay, maybe I did call him an asshole, but it's okay. He can't comment anymore. Sorry, friend. But
Mm,
maybe you are an asshole. You seem like one. You came into our chat and you decided to be rude to people who are part of this community
right.
who have been given great feedback and are actively participating. So yeah, you are an asshole. But that's just my opinion. Um, oh, they made it easier to ban people from commenting.
Oh,
That's
okay.
cool. Nice. Banned from commenting. Sweet. Thanks. Bye, Felicia. Um, anyway, we have stayed longer just to comment on that because I honestly sometimes calling out at the well, we were derailed anyways. We were at the end, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
We were saying goodbye. So, but this was fun. Thanks,
Thank
thanks,
you.
person on Substack who wanted to be an asshole. You made my day. You made this a little bit more fun. So, Tara, this has been awesome. I appreciate seeing you. And we'll be
You
back
too.
next
You're great.
for our second discussion into To Catch a Fascist by Christopher Matthias. I'll hold the book up again, even though I
Yes.
can't see the screen. I know you guys can. Please order your copy if you don't have one yet. You can get it directly through the publisher. I will put a link into our show notes so that you can order the book yourself and join us into the discussion. I think it's a really important one that we're going to have. We're going to be going over this over the next few weeks. And hopefully next week we'll also be joined back by some of our other colleagues. And if not, we'll see y'all again. And so thanks everyone for being
See you
with us.
guys.
Tara, thank you for being here. And we'll see y'all next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, right? 1 a.m.
See ya.
Eastern, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. See
Mhm.
y'all. Have a great weekend.
Hello.